Have you ever seen that some of the nicest people you know also seem the most worn out? They're the ones who always show up, who always wear a smile, who always say yes when someone needs help. But if you really look, if you take the time to notice, you can see the tiredness hiding in their eyes. You can feel that behind all that warmth, there's something deeper, something heavier, maybe even a bit painful. We often think kindness is simple and clean, something purely good. We tell kids to be kind. We admire kindness in people we look up to. We even measure how good we are by how much care we can show to others. But kindness, like everything else in this messy world, has another side. And when you ignore that side, when you pretend it isn't there, kindness can slowly start to hurt instead of heal. It begins quietly. A child learns that being sweet, being easy to get along with, brings love and attention. When they push away their own needs just to make others happy, they get smiles, praise and affection that maybe they don't get any other way. As time goes on, this lesson sinks deep into their body and mind. Kindness becomes their way to survive. And as they grow older, it gets harder to tell where their real self ends and where other people's expectations begin. They turn into the dependable one, the good one, the friend who never says no. But here's the truth. When kindness comes from fear of being rejected or from a need to be liked, it stops being real kindness. It becomes a mask. And masks, if you wear them too long, start to choke the person underneath. Think about the people you know who are endlessly nice. They'll listen to your troubles for hours. They'll help you move boxes. They'll lend money they don't have. They'll skip their own rest just to make sure you're fine. At first, it looks beautiful, even noble. But if you've ever been that person, if you've lived that way, you know what's hidden inside. Behind every moment of self-giving, there's a small, quiet feeling of frustration. A voice that softly asks, "And what about me?" But that voice usually gets pushed down because people who are always kind believe they're not supposed to think of themselves first. Experts have studied this and even have a name for it: compassion fatigue. It means what happens when someone gives away so much of their care and sympathy that there's nothing left inside. Nurses feel it, teachers feel it, parents feel it too. But it's not just about jobs. Ordinary people, those who see themselves as gentle and caring, can feel it as well. Research shows that people who always put others before themselves often struggle more with sadness, worry, and even physical sickness than those who keep a healthy balance. When kindness goes too far, it stops being kindness. It becomes a slow way of losing yourself. And that's the hidden danger. Kindness that has no limits isn't real kindness at all. It slowly turns into a quiet way of destroying yourself. It's like giving water to every flower in the garden, but never watering your own roots. Sooner or later, the gardener grows too weak to stand, and the whole garden fades along with them. But here's the part that feels even more uncomfortable. Sometimes kindness turns into a weapon. And I don't mean when someone pretends to be nice just to trick people. I mean when it happens silently, without meaning to. When you become known as the kind one, people begin to expect it. They start depending on it. They act differently around you because of it. Without even noticing, your kindness teaches them that your needs come last, that your feelings can be pushed aside. As time passes, people stop even asking what you want, because they already believe you'll always say yes. The kind person ends up teaching the world to forget about them. That's the strange twist. The kinder you are, the less people seem to see you. But being unseen isn't the same as being peaceful. It's just loneliness, hidden behind good manners. Still, this doesn't mean kindness is wrong. Not at all. True kindness is one of the most beautiful powers a person can share. But there's a big difference between kindness that comes from being full of love and kindness that comes from being empty inside. One heals everyone it touches. The other eats away at the person giving it. One is born from love, the other from fear. Let's look at some real examples. In one study published in a psychology journal, scientists found that people who have a hard time saying no, especially those who see themselves as kind and easygoing, are much more likely to feel burned out. Another study from the University of Berkeley discovered that doing good deeds makes people happier, but only when it's done freely and honestly. When someone acts kind because they feel guilty, pressured, or scared to disappoint others, it does the opposite. It lowers their joy and raises their stress. Still, many of us fall into this same pattern. We don't want anyone to feel hurt, so we keep agreeing. We don't want others to think we're selfish, so we keep giving. We don't want to lose love, so we keep putting ourselves last. But the price of this never-ending kindness is huge. Bit by bit, you start forgetting who you are. You stop knowing what you actually want, because your whole life becomes about pleasing others. You turn into a stranger inside your own body. And this is where something darker begins to grow. Because when you hide your needs, when you swallow your anger, when you throw away your limits just to be nice, those feelings don't disappear. They stay deep inside, building up in the dark. They rot and bubble, and one day, they burst out in ways you can't control. Maybe it's snapping at someone you care about over something tiny. Maybe it's making little mean jokes, holding back anger that slips out in quiet ways. Or maybe it's even worse, years of hidden pain bursting out all at once, leaving you shocked at who you've become. We like to believe that kindness keeps us safe from darkness. But the truth is, kindness without honesty becomes the perfect place for that darkness to grow. Because every time you say yes when your heart says no, every time you force a smile when you want to cry, every time you hide your real feelings just to keep others happy, you're not being kind, you're turning your back on yourself. And when you turn your back on yourself, there's always a cost. So let's be honest. Why do we do this? Why do good-hearted people find it so hard to set limits? The answer is found in the way we're raised. From the time we're small, many of us are taught that kindness makes us worthy of love. That being pleasant is safer than being real. That love must be earned by what we do, not by who we are. Kids who grow up in homes where love depends on good behavior, on being quiet, or on giving up their own needs, often carry that lesson into their grown-up lives. They become adults who mistake pleasing others for being kind. But real kindness doesn't erase who you are. Real kindness includes you too. If your kindness drains your happiness, your peace, or your strength, then it's not kindness anymore. It's self-forgetting, disguised as goodness. And here's where understanding helps. Science tells us that the brain has something called the mirror neuron system. It's what lets us feel empathy. When you see someone hurt, your brain reacts as if you're hurting too. That's why caring feels so natural to humans. We're built to connect with each other. But there's a catch. These mirror neurons don't know the difference between healthy empathy and harmful empathy. If you constantly take in other people's pain without protecting your own limits, your brain fills up with stress signals. Over time, this causes long-term tension, weakens your immune system, and drains your emotions. In simple words, your brain isn't made for endless kindness without balance. It's made for caring with limits. So the problem isn't that kindness is bad. It's that kindness can be twisted by fear, by the lessons we were taught, by culture, or by old wounds, into something that looks gentle, but quietly destroys us from the inside. And when that happens, the very thing we thought was our biggest strength becomes the thing that hurts us most. So stop for a moment and think. If you've ever felt this, the tiredness, the quiet anger, the feeling that you're invisible even while people call you so kind, know this. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're not less than whole. What you're feeling is the natural result of living in a world that never taught us how to give while still protecting ourselves. It's that hidden part inside you, not because you're bad, but because truths that stay buried for too long eventually need to come out. And this leads us to the real question. How can we be kind without letting kindness break us? How can we stay caring without turning into people who always sacrifice everything? How can we love others without losing ourselves? So, how do we do that? How can we practice kindness in a way that heals instead of hurts? The answer rests in one simple, though sometimes uncomfortable truth. Kindness has to start with you. not in a selfish or careless way, but in the understanding that if your kindness doesn't include yourself, then it isn't real kindness at all. It's just an act. And acts eventually fall apart. Think of it like when you're on an airplane. You've heard the safety instructions. In an emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before helping someone else. At first, that might sound wrong or strange. Why wouldn't you help your child or the person next to you first? But the reason is clear. If you run out of air, you can't help anyone. The same idea applies to kindness. If you forget your own needs, your own rest, your own peace, your ability to care for others will slowly fade away. That's where boundaries come in. And for many gentle-hearted people, boundaries feel scary. They can feel like pushing people away. They can feel selfish. They can feel cold. But the truth is, boundaries are actually the most honest form of love. A boundary says, this is how much I can give, and this is where I must stop. It says, my care is real, but it can't survive if I'm running on empty. It says, I care enough to tell you my limits, because without them, my care will turn into bitterness. Experts describe boundaries as invisible lines that show where you end and where another person begins. Without those lines, relationships get tangled, turning into neediness, guilt, or quiet pain. But with boundaries, connections become clear, fair, and filled with respect. In fact, studies show that people who know how to set healthy limits often have stronger and deeper relationships because their kindness is a free choice, not something forced. And here's another interesting truth. People who honor their own boundaries are often trusted more. Why? Because when they say yes, others know they truly mean it. Their kindness isn't fake, it's real. And realness draws people in. But here's the hard part. Creating boundaries isn't only about saying no to others. It's about learning to say yes to yourself. And that can feel strange, especially if you've spent your whole life believing that being selfless is the only way to be good. It can feel like you're turning your back on the very thing people have always praised you for. You might even lose some friendships along the way. Some people won't like it when you stop giving more than you can handle. Some will resist, accuse you of changing, or slowly drift away. And yes, that hurts. But it's also part of the healing, because relationships that only survive through endless giving were never truly fair to begin with. Now, let's look a little closer at what happens in the mind. There's an idea called pathological altruism. It describes what happens when helping others ends up causing harm, either to the helper or the one being helped. For example, when someone sacrifices their own health to take care of everyone else, or when saving others all the time stops them from learning how to take care of themselves. Pathological altruism looks like kindness on the outside, but it secretly builds exhaustion, guilt, and dependence. It's kindness that's lost its way. This connects to something even bigger, the myth of the good person. Many cultures teach us that the best thing we can be is endlessly kind, but often in a way that quietly erases who we are. Think about how often you hear things like, she's such a good girl, she never complains, or he's such a nice guy, he helps everyone. Hidden in those words is a risky message. That being good means never asking for anything, never saying no, never breaking the calm. But true goodness isn't about disappearing. It's about being your full, honest self and still choosing to be kind. When kindness comes from truth, it sets you free. When it comes from fear, it traps you. So how can you move from trapped kindness to free kindness? Here are some ways, not quick tricks, but daily habits. First, practice the pause. When someone asks something from you, don't rush to agree. Take a moment. Breathe. Ask yourself, do I really have the time or energy for this? Do I want to do this? Does this match what I believe in? Even a few seconds of checking in with yourself can stop automatic people-pleasing. Second, learn the art of gentle no's. A no doesn't have to sound mean. It can be calm and kind. You can say, I care about you, but I can't handle this right now. Or, I'd love to help, but I don't have the space for it. The world won't crumble if you say no. In fact, the more honestly you say no, the more your yes will truly mean something. Third, change how you see your worth. Your value as a person isn't measured by how much you give away. It's not about how often you fix others, say yes, or keep the peace. Your worth is already inside you. It's not something you have to earn through sacrifice. Your worth is already inside you. You had value long before anyone needed you, long before you learned to use kindness as a way to stay safe. You deserve love even when you say no, even when you rest, even when you choose not to carry everything on your back. Fourth, take care of your own garden. Fill your life with things that feed your heart. Friends who make you feel alive, hobbies that bring joy, and quiet moments where you can simply breathe. When you live from a place of fullness instead of emptiness, kindness flows on its own. It's not forced. It doesn't drain you. It becomes a gift instead of a duty. Fifth, let yourself feel your harder emotions: anger, sadness, frustration. These aren't enemies of kindness. They're signals. They show you when someone has crossed your line, when your needs are being forgotten. If you hide those feelings, they grow into that inner monster. But if you notice them, if you listen to what they're saying, they can lead you back to balance. Let's go back to the idea of masks. For many people, kindness has turned into a mask they wear every day. The smile that hides tiredness, the yes said to avoid a fight, the giving that's meant to prove they're good enough. But masks are heavy. The longer you wear them, the harder it becomes to remember your real face. The true journey isn't about throwing kindness away. It's about taking off the mask and letting kindness come from the real you. The you who can say both yes and no with honesty. The you who can care for others without vanishing. There's an old saying, if you want to know who you really are, look at how you treat yourself when no one else can see. That's where real kindness begins. Not in others' praise, not in being called so nice, but in the quiet choices you make for your own peace. Do you rest when you're tired? Do you forgive yourself when you mess up? Do you talk to yourself with gentleness? If you don't, then your kindness toward others is standing on shaky ground. Here's the twist. When you start treating yourself with true kindness, your care for others becomes stronger, not weaker. It comes from a heart that's full, not empty. It lifts others up instead of weighing you down. And maybe that's the final truth. The dark side of kindness isn't about turning away from kindness. It's about changing it, turning it from a mask into a mirror, from a habit into a choice, from survival into real love. So next time someone says, "You're so kind," take a moment and ask yourself, is this kindness coming from fear or from freedom? From tiredness or from wholeness? From the mask or from the real me? The answer to that question will reveal more about who you are than any compliment ever could. Because in the end, the monster hiding inside kind people isn't their anger, their limits, or their boundaries. The real monster is forgetting themselves. And when you finally face that truth and take off the mask, your kindness doesn't fade. It shines brighter. It becomes the kind of kindness that not only helps others live, but helps you live too. And maybe that's what true kindness really is. To live fully as yourself, without shrinking, without pretending, without saying sorry for existing. To show the world that compassion doesn't mean disappearing. It means being honest. That's the kind of kindness the world needs most. Not endless yeses, not quiet suffering, but the bravery to love without losing yourself.